What is up, everybody? We are live. Aaron the dog here with breakdown number 1 of the week. We're starting with a solo breakdown here, in part because it's early in the week and with it being a Wednesday card for the opener of the official regular season of the PFL. We had the Contender Series, or the Challenger Series, as it was called, for the first couple weeks. I believe there was 8 weeks of that. Did really successful there. Hopefully you were able to check out those videos, make a little bit of money with me. And we do have one of those guys who's competing tonight in Bruce Soto, as well as a really good card top to bottom, headlined by the 155 fight between Clay Collard and Jeremy Stevens making his PFL debut. So lots of good stuff here. Really excited to join you. We got a bunch of breakdowns this week. We got the Mega Bellator show tomorrow with Lewis of Northern MMA making his return. Going to be covering both Bellator shows taking place this weekend in Hawaii. Wednesday is the UFC show, as always. Hopefully have a Fury show for us later in the week, as well as we get those lines out. So busy week here on Aaron Dog MMA. We're going to go ahead and hop into it. If you're in the chat, I'll try to get to you as the fights go. We'll have timestamps as always. Should be a good start to the PFL season. Really excited for the main event, Jeremy Stevens and Clay Collard. All the way around, though, I think there is some very good opportunities for underdogs on this card. Last year, to start out the PFL season, I believe 5 to 6 underdogs came through on that first card. And I expect a few to come through tonight, too. So should be very interesting. We'll see what the weigh-ins tomorrow, the information. But we have lines available, so let's go ahead and hop into this one. It's 155ers and 205ers that are going to be taking the stage for this bout. There's actually 2 fighters from the Challenger Series who are making an appearance here. The first is in the first fight of the night. We have a 205 fight, very exciting prospect here in Simone Powell out of the UK, one of the up-and-coming UK prospects. UK MMA looking much better lately. Just ask Lewis or a lot of other people, honestly. And he's taking on the veteran here, Clinton Bomba Williams here. This fight is at 205, 9-5, Clinton Williams. I'll be breaking down first here. Clinton Williams does not have experience in PFL, but he does have the prior experience with the World Series of Fighting. So, he's familiar with the organization. We can at least say that much. But, it's been in there with some decent veterans, guys like Jake Huan, who he did lose a split decision to. I thought Jake pretty clearly won, but 38 years old now, fighting out Fortis MMA, made his return to MMA last October, getting the win with FFC. He's a shorter light heavyweight at 5'11", very strong guy, decently well-rounded as well, coming off 2 straight wins since his return from 2019. One coming in XKO with a TKO win of the 6-4 Jose Lehea, and Jerome Hatch. I was able to watch that fight with Fierce FC 17, getting a decision win there. Losses, his last 3 losses coming to Jake Juan, Rex Harris, both I've heard of, and then Julius Holmes, not as familiar with Fury, got submitted in the 3rd loss. He has a ground and pound loss to Andrew Sanchez with RFA back in 2015. Win over a Jared Hatch, so Jerome and Jared Hatch, 2 of his last few wins there. Not a whole lot of notable wins here. As a couple submissions, has a verbal submission of 9-2 John Kafer. I wasn't able to see exactly what happened there. Was supposed to be paired up with Bruno Santos back in the day. That fight got held back. So yeah, overall, he's a decent guy. Nothing too crazy. Comes forward with good boxing. Likes to use his physical strength. Will move the fight to the floor at times for sure. But overall, of the 2, I think the more basic of the 2 guys, Simone Powell, much more dynamic, younger striker here. Very exciting. Smooth is his nickname, fighting out of the UK. 5-0, 11-0 going back to his amateur career out of Titan Fighter Gym. Last fought in April, where he got a very solid decision win over his opponent, Tobias Baker. Tobias Baker was just very, very tough. It was good to see Powell able to show the 15 minutes of gas. While we would like to see the finish, I'm actually okay seeing the win there, but not a really super impressive level of opponents yet. Clinton Williams, by far the most experienced and best opponent he's faced, had a nice flying knee of Matthew Nicholson 2 fights ago that you can go back and see with Almeida Fighting Championship. So looked good transferring over to PFL and everything like that. So I did like what I saw there with regards to handling the stage. He seems to have a ton of hype behind him, and I like the head on his shoulders. Minus 250 price on Simone Powell against a plus 200 Clinton Williams. This is going to be Simone's most highest test. I feel he's going to pass it and pass it very well. The Jaquan fight I know is a split, but I did not see it very close. I do think Simone can beat him to the positions, and I'll take Simone to get the decision win here. I do rate Clinton as very, very tough, and Henry Hunsucker should be part of the PFL heavyweights. I think he has a nice shot at winning $1 million. Hey, Sean O'Connell won $1 million 2 straight times, man. If he can do it, anybody can. But yeah, Harry Hunsucker as of now. I am going with the favorite minus 250 in Simone Powell. I anticipate that number will climb a little bit, but shouldn't climb too high. This will be his biggest test to date, and Clinton has been in there with some decent level of competition and looking good from his return here. Fortis MMA, not a bad camp at all here, but give me Simone. I'll take the decision win, though, just giving Clinton a little bit of credit there. Next fight, opening 4 fights are at 205. This fight as well at 205, obviously a very good, interesting fight here. Rob Wilkinson, known as the guy who lost to Israel Adesanya and got cut. And he's probably maybe known for some other things. That's what I know him for. Taking on the aforementioned Bruce Soto. Definitely a Soldado de Cristo for Bruce here. This one's really exciting. I think this is going to be a ton of action and one of the closest fights of the night. Bruce is approaching 33 years old, 5'10", 70-inch reach. Definitely one of the biggest differences here between him and his opponent. Bruce is going to have to crash the distance and put himself, I think, at risk for some strikes, some takedowns from his opponent Wilkinson here, who has an 80.5-inch reach. So going to be tough for Bruce at times. Falls behind with his activity. We saw with the Christian Torres fight back with LFA a couple fights ago, but he did pull it out. It was a good back-and-forth brawl, but a little bit too close against the 15-11 Christian Torres. He's on a 9-fight win streak, though. Took on Travis Davis on short notice in the last fight. Bam Bam Davis here. We should know from Bellator. He looked okay. Davis was actually outstriking him early in that round, but Bruce did close the distance, land somewhat. It says flying knee, more of a hopping knee, but it did land, and I was kind of surprised, put his opponent away with it, but good on Bruce there. A very well-rounded opponent, has faced some decent level of competition, including Wendell Oliveira with ACB, went to a decision there. The William Seeley fight, very, very close, but eked that one out. Again, these fights I think are often close due to his lack of activity. He does have good grappling as well. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, I believe, black belt. He's faced a decent level of competition. Obviously, the last couple being his higher level, but I don't think he's faced anybody on Rob Wilkinson's level. Rob Wilkinson making his return to MMA after a rough go in the UFC, but the rough go in the UFC against some of the best fighters in the world. Sire Bahadurzada back in the day, Sire definitely was a very legitimate opponent, put him away with the strikes in the first or the second round, and that was at middleweight. Sire, as a smaller middleweight, was able to get inside the distance and put him away in the second round. Then second fight against Israel Adesanya, Rob has gone on to say he didn't think he was ready for the UFC, wasn't quite focused, did take some time off, had to win over Alexander Popik by rear naked choke back in the day, probably his most legit win before getting signed with the UFC. Ended up having a fight over in Australia with fellow Australian Dylan Andrews. got the guillotine choke, and then came back against Daniel Almeida in April of 2021 after a 2-year layoff and looked really, really good. Put him away with the strikes. He is a 9-6 fighter. Had a boxing fight in October as well where he got the KO. He's really sounding very focused, looking very good so far. Appears to be in good shape from what I've been able to find. I really like Rob in this spot. Still only 30 years old. The reach is a huge difference. He has been put away by strikes twice. That is how Bruce is going to have to put this fight away. I know that Bruce had the KO with the knee his last time out, but for the most part, I think Bruce isn't have the volume or the level of power for the strikes, and Zhang Li asking to provide all the sports books that offer PFL lines. As of now, I'm seeing it on Bet365, Betway, and 5 Dimes for the sports books. Typically, Bovada does, and I do have a bet currently on Bovada, but they have removed it from the card as of now. Usually with the PFL cards, they remove them till later in the day or even the day of, but those are the cards or the books I'm seeing from Zhang Li. So, yeah, I like Rob Wilkinson in this spot. He's really focused. He originally wanted to be in the UFC, but he's in the PFL, very, very high organization. And I think he's very hungry. 13-2 record, approaching that prime, and took time off to get better. So I like Rob Wilkinson here. The reach at 80.5 inches. I think he's got good power, well-rounded enough to keep it off the ground. And I think one of the keys with Sato is to avoid him closing the distance, which I think without the volume is going to be tough. So I like Rob Wilkinson here. I think it's a real good spot at -125. And yeah, let's give it a shot. I do like that price, and you can take it solo. You can pair it up with Simone Powell to start out the night. But should be a good fight. Bruce Sato, you've been able to see him with the LFA and other organizations lately, and he is looking better and better. So just buyer beware there. But indeed, Bunny, I am live. Feel so alive. How are you doing on this Monday? Great to see you here. Next fight, another 205 fight here. Former UFC fighters Omari Akhmadov and Victor Pesta. Victor Pesta was, I believe, at heavyweight when he was over there. Omari was at middleweight. So two guys no longer at their original weight classes, now at 205 here. Wolverine is Omari's nickname, kind of built like the comic book character. Very, very compact, 6'1" or 71-inch reach for the 34.5-year-old of Dagestan, taking on the 31-year-old in Mr. Victor Pesta here, 18-6 versus 21-7. Czech Republic, now fighting out of Sanford MMA, as many do know, one of my favorite camps. This, by the way, taking place in Arlington, Texas. 6'4", 77-inch reach. So significantly larger Victor Pesta will be here. 18-6, has more fights, but more higher level of experience for Omari. Last fought in September. He's on a 3-fight win streak here since losing to Mikhail Martinik, and that was on an injury. Last actual loss to Alexander Emelianenko back in July of 2018, and that was by TKO in round number 2. It was at heavyweight, usually weighing about 230 to 240 at heavyweight. So decent size heavyweight. Made his move down, had some catchweight fights, including against Mike Kyle, a name back in the day, put him away with the rear naked choke. Vladimir Alcantara knocked him out at Octagon last in 2020, I should say. Stephen Pruitt's 20-4 fighter stopped him at the end of the 3rd round in a title fight with Octagon. Has been fighting at light heavyweight, looking good. Was stopped in the 3rd round his title fight, so he is an Octagon light heavyweight champion coming over here to the PFL. Really good momentum in the UFC. He got Ezekiel choked by Oleinik. He got knocked out by Tybura and knocked out by Derek Lewis. Also lost to Ruslan Magomedov back in the day. He's a good fighter. Very, very, kind of reminds me of a little bit of Sergey Spivak. So definitely uses his strikes to not set up the takedowns. Todd, what up? Good to see you, brother. Hopefully you enjoyed the UFC this past weekend. And then Bunny, moderator Bunny, welcoming everybody. Welcome, Bunny. But yeah, this is with Victor here. I think that the size and physicality are keys, and I think that if he has the better gas tank, that's another key, because with Amari, even at 205, still not showing the gas tank I really want to see. Still seems to slow down as the fights go. The first round, he's relentless. I could definitely see him getting him down, getting a submission the first round. But as this fight goes, he slows down on the feet. I think he's going to be having trouble reaching Victor. I think the size bothered him against Jordan Young as the fight went on. And Jordan Young ended up landing a long uppercut that put him down. Jordan Young, by no means a spectacular striker. Brad Tavares ended up winning that fight based on gas. Same with Chris Weidman. But, losing to good fighters like Chris Weidman, Brad Tavares, Jordan Young, who I think still can be a legit prospect. Having wins over Ian Highness, Zach Cummings, and Breeze in his last 3 out. Very impressive. Tim Boach being the 4th win out. This is a tricky fight here. Amari definitely going to be the smaller guy here. I just, I kind of just question, can Victor pull off the game plan needed to win this fight? I don't think size is going to be enough. I don't trust Victor's gas tank or striking enough to go with him here. So I am still going to go with Amari Akhmedov, the much shorter opponent here, but I think he gets inside. The first round, I definitely could see a first-round finish from Amari. Definitely could see him at least banking 2 rounds. So either way, I'm going to go with Amari Akhmedov, minus 125 favorite. Not as confident here as I was in Rob Wilkinson, but I am going to edge towards the Wolverine. Amari Akhmedov over Victor Pesta, who has been looking better, is a legit 205er now, went 3 rounds in that championship fight last time out. But going to edge towards Amari just ever so slightly, minus 125. Move on to the next fight here, the final 205 fight to start the card here in Martin Hamlet taking on the Lithuanian fighter who I am quite a fan of back in the day, has been away for a few years, in Theodoras Akustiolis, the Lithuanian fighter here. Pancrase Gym in Sweden is where he now trains out of Frontline Academy for Martin Hamlet here. 30 years old for both guys here. Theodoras has not fought in MMA since 2017, November of 2017, 4.5 years ago. But a guy who, when we're doing research for others, we'll come across him quite often. Carl Albertson had a fight against him. Carl got him down, got the arm triangle in the first round. It was 8 minutes in with Ryzen. Bruno Capolosa, he has a win over with Ryzen back in 2015. Over 6 years ago, but knocked him out. Really good counter left hooks shown in that one before putting him down with the right. A win over Jadeep Singh at heavyweight back in the day. Again, has a grappling bout with Marcin Held, where Held got the leg lock back in 2018. Did end up putting him out for about over a year, had a knee injury from that with Quintet. Was supposed to take on Luis Enrique back in October of 2020. That fight was canceled with Arias FC, and now Martin Hamlet on April 20th of 2022 makes his return here. It's pretty simple. He struggles when his opponents look for the takedown and keep him there. Muhammad Lual took him there. Bruno Capolosa actually took him down before Theodoras was able to get the fight to the feet and knock him out. Carl Albrechtsen took him down before putting him away with the head and arm triangle. Martin Hamlet is a heavy, heavy wrestler. I think this is definitely a tough return fight here. Theodoras ring rust. I don't really think ring rust will be an issue. Looking at him, he does seem to have been training, has good experience, but that's a long time off. So if there is ring rust, I think at 4.5 years, it definitely becomes more of a factor. And the more my issue here is the matchup with a heavy, heavy wrestler in Martin Hamlet. One thing you can say with Martin Hamlet is that he gasses at times. He got rear naked choked by our Antonio Shoeface Carlos Jr. in his last fight. Carlos Jr., one of the best jiu-jitsu practitioners in the world. It was a rear naked choke against Corey Hendricks that definitely was more of the issue. Corey Hendricks coming off a long layoff himself, not 4 years, but about a year and a half, 2 years when they fought. Wore him down, pressured him, got the cardio going. By the third round, Martin Hamlet was breathing so heavily he had nothing left, and Corey got that rear naked choke. I think more with Theodorus, he's going to, if he's able to start stuffing takedowns, get down from a few of those takedowns, because I do think Martin Hamlet gets him down. I think Theodorus could start to crash the striking a little bit, and I do think Theodorus could put him away. But yeah, agreed. It's PFL looking really good here to start out the year. But I just think Theodorus, I'm hoping he's worked on his ground issues over the last few years. He had that fight with Marcin Held, so it does lead me to believe he's working on his jiu-jitsu, his back game, his get-up game all the way around. Martin Hamlet, just one of the best wrestlers, though, in the division. This is all about the matchup here for me. I love Theodorus, and this is one I kind of hope I'm wrong on, but honestly, I like Martin Hamlet here to get this fight to the ground and finish it. Unfortunately, the Cesar Ferreira fight was a pretty much of a fraud fight. But the Daniel Spawn fight is a fight I look at that I think is going to look very similar to, dealing with a similar dangerous boxer in that one. But had the loss over Modestus Pukauskas back at Cage Warriors. It wasn't round 4, but a long, lengthy striker gave him trouble. Theodorus, not quite as lengthy, but a good striker. He has put away. But I like Martin Hamlet here. I don't like the price too much at minus 250 plus 210. On Theodorus, I expect that to get a little wider too. I don't know what Theodorus is going to look like coming back after all this time. And agreed, if you're not following MMA Ideas, drop him a follow on IG for all fight announcements and other things. Many killed it on the breakdown last week, and will be back, Arnold Schwarzenegger. But I like Hamlet here, minus 250. It's an okay price. I just think matchup-wise, it's very, very good for him. My least confident of the first 4 would be Amari Akhmedov, but decently confident in all 4 of the favorites to start out the night. So we will move on to the next fight, our first 155 fight here. Really, really good fight as well. In a guy I really enjoy, former Cage Warriors, former UFC fighter, Stevie Ray out of Scotland, taking on Alex Martinez, who kind of bursted onto the scene last year, one of the more unknown 155ers coming into last year, but I think did pretty well. 27 years old, 6 foot tall, 73-inch reach out of Champion Gym for the Paraguayan fighter, now fighting out of Alberta, Canada. Scottish fighter here in Stevie Ray Braveheart. I will be breaking down first here. 23-9, absolute scrapper, very tough guy, hasn't fought since 2019. He did get that win with the UFC, now 32 years old. Got the win over Michael Johnson. It was a close competitive fight. Did what he had to do, gritted that one out, stayed out of the dangerous spots. Got put away, by the Magic Man at one point in Leonardo Santos, who just kind of had hands of death for whatever reason, even though he was the jiu-jitsu black belt. But yeah, caught him at the end of that one. Justin Ayari did very well in that one to control where the fight went. The Cajun Johnson fight, very competitive, but Cajun was able to just out-scramble him a little bit and get the split. Got ground and pounded out by Paul Felder. Wins over Ross Pearson and Lozon, both very close. Just overall, Stevie did have quite a long time in the UFC and just never quite got the rhythm going there. Losses Alan Patrick, Paul Felder, Cajun Johnson, and Santos. Not horrible, but not incredible. He did have a modified twister back at Polaris. That was really fun to watch against Craig Ewers. So definitely working on his jiu-jitsu, making that better and better. Good to decent striker as well. He just gets in there and fights very, very close fights. And what up, the glove touch? Good to see you, man. Alex Martinez, I think, matches up pretty similar to them. They're both pretty athletic, well-rounded guys. Alex Martinez, much less experience. That's a huge key here at 8-2. Is going to be a little bit bigger, though. Coming off of 2 straight losses. So a little bit of a tough end to the season last year for him, but very competitive fights. A split decision with two-time champion Natan Shult, who we'll be talking about in a minute. A Loic Radzbanov fight where he won the split the first time, kind of shocked the world there. And then had another decision loss to Radzbanov, in the championship there. So no shame there in those last two losses. But, overall, very, very good athletic fighter here. I expect Apollo J, what up, man? Good to see you here. Overall, I think this is going to be a very competitive fight. Alex Martinez, I think, is steadily improved here. I think those two fights with Loic Radzbanov give him a ton of experience and confidence coming into this one. Stevie Ray has been off for a little while. Excuse me, for a little while here, but I like Stevie Ray in this spot. I think this is going to be a very close, competitive fight. With that being said, I like the experience. I like that Stevie's taken a little bit of time off to heal himself. He had some injuries and whatnot. I like that he came back with a twister. He's showing evolution to his ground game. I think the overall experience, this is going to be a close fight. So it's super, I get either side, but I like the plus 125 price I'm getting on Stevie Ray. He will be my first dog of the night over Alex Martinez. It should be a really close competitive fight. So give me the dog in Stevie Ray and give me it by decision there. Really good fight at 155, though, on the prelims here. Again, prelims start at 5:30 on 420 Wednesday. So gift for the holidays for those who celebrate. But we're back at the 205 division here for the next one. But that Stevie Ray Martinez fight, maybe my fight of the night. Such a close fight back at 205, though. We've got the former champion and Emmanuel Sorti taking on Corey Hendricks. I mentioned Corey Hendricks a little bit ago with the Martin Hamlet fight. That fight was a fight I was on Corey Hendricks in and kind of fought exactly how I hoped he would, extending the gas tank. The guy's a scrapper, 8-4, 33 years old. Syndicate MMA, very good gym there. Last fought in August of last year with PFL. It was an up and down season, had the win over Martin Hamlet after coming onto the short notice there. And then Chris Camozzi, I feel like had one of the best PFL seasons last year of any fighter. He fought really, really well and looks really good. I'm excited for Bochniak. Now he's in the PFL. Hopefully he can make it back to the UFC. Definitely. And Trevor Stewart. Hopefully these are good predictions. We did good through the Challenger Series. Last week we had a solid 5-6 with the LFA. We went 10-2-1 with the Bellator, and then we also did very, very well with the UFC. So all the way around, good week last week, and hopefully we can keep the momentum going here. Corey Hendricks, he's a scrapper, man. He has really fought a high level of competition throughout his career. He's had good success at times as well. A win over Khalil Roundtree on The Ultimate Fighter. Rear naked choked him. Konstantin Irakin, very good win with ACB. Undefeated fighter in Evgeny Egjem Diriyev with ACB as well. Knocked him out. He's just underestimated often. Lost to Alexei Burtin. No shame there. Beat Luke Burnett, former UFC fighter, in a really good fight with ACA. Rear naked choke again. Nasruddin Nasruddinov. No shame there. A majority decision loss. Carlos Eduardo, tough Brazilian, got the decision there. It's a lot of experience at ACA and ACB. Came over to PFL, got the win over Martin Hamlet, gassing him out. And then Chris Camozzi just kind of outgritted him. Originally, he was supposed to face Clinton Williams. Injuries came up, unfortunately, so I had to switch some things up. He's now facing Emmanuel Sorti, He-Man out of Argentina. 23-9-1, had a losses last time in August, but 31 years old. He is the slightly slightly younger guy. Coming off of a draw against Dan Spahn, pretty surprising there, and then a loss there. Shoeface didn't get put away, but still tough loss. And the Chris Camozzi fight, I actually had it for Chris Camozzi myself. Everything like that. And then real quick, I'm just going to catch up here and then I'll go back to the predictions. But hey, dude, managed to catch some great shots so far, killing last week. Appreciate it. Lewis, we missed you. We'll see you soon. We'll see you tomorrow, actually, for the Bellator Mega Show. And then Apollo. I will be dropping timestamps, but so far I got Simone, Powell, Rob Wilkinson, Amari Akhmedov, Martin, Hamlet, and Stevie Ray for my picks so far. And I agree. I thought that Chris Camozzi also won. So we're really looking at a tough last year for Emmanuel Sorti. Very good striker here, but I'm just wondering if he kind of benefited from a little bit of a softer PFL to win his title, beating guys like Vinny Magalhaes, who folds on the first strike, Bozik Atayev, who I believe was 55 for his fight, Sigi Pasali, who was 3-2 at the time, and then Atayev again. So you've got to beat a senior citizen twice. Jordan Johnson, good win, but still a middleweight, untested relatively. And then, last year, I really think he went 0-2-1. So Josh Silveria, I'll just tell you right now, I would have taken Josh over Sorti. Josh Silveria is absolutely legit. I'm gutted he's out of this one. This fight is much, much closer here. And all things considered, Sorti, I think, is going to come back sharper here. I don't like this price at all, though. I think the price is way off, and I do think that it's a dog or pass for me. At plus 200 for Corey Hendricks, I really understand anybody taking a shot at that. I will be not be taking a shot at Emmanuel Sorti at minus 250, certainly. I'm going to wait for the weigh-ins. My official pick as of now will be Emmanuel Sorti, but not too confident, and that one is one that I would definitely be picking. Definitely be picking after weigh-ins and after seeing kind of a little bit more here. But I don't like what I saw of Sorti last year. Corey Hendricks, I don't mind what I saw of Corey Hendricks last year. It wasn't an outstanding year, but I thought it was relatively well. And training for Clinton Williams and getting switched to a former PFL champion is a little bit of a tough break, but Corey Hendricks is going to be ready for everybody. Corey Hendricks, if Sorti is not in great shape, will expose the gas tank, get his back, and I think put him away with a rear naked choke. So taking Sorti right now, one of my least confident picks on the card, and with the price, dog or pass for me. That is the end of the prelims. We make it to the main card now, starting at 155 with an extremely close, really nice matchup here between Olivier Obenmercier and OAM, also known as, taking on Natan Shult, the Brazilian two-time millionaire PFL champion here. Natan Shult definitely made the right choice coming over to PFL. Really wasn't too known of a name before then. 21-4-1, taking on the Canadian gangster here, 33-year-old, 13-5 Olivier Obenmercier. 2 straight wins for him, including his last 2 with the PFL. He's looked really, really good coming out of TriStar here. Beat Marcin Held and Darrell Horcher. The Marcin Held fight, very impressive to me. Marcin Held was really coming into that fight on a good rhythm. And, Oben just looked like his striking has improved. Very, very strong, good grappler, great top control all the way around. A lot of things to really like in him. Losses in the UFC that got him cut. Mind you, after pretty successful run here. But his losses overall, Diego Ferreira back in 2016, wins over Rocco Martin, Evan Dunham, Guti, and Drew Dauber, 3 of 4 of those coming by way of finish. The losses coming to Alexander Hernandez, Gilbert Burns, and Armin Sarukian, all by decision. Absolutely no shame in that. The UFC cut him as a result of that. Took some time off, came back, and he's looked really, really strong against Marcin Held and Darrell Horchard here. And this should be a really just outstanding fight. They were supposed to fight last year. Natan Shult, really well-rounded everywhere, a slick grappler, slick on the feet, high IQ type of guy, 2-time millionaire as well. He knows how to get it done here. This is just an outstanding fight. Very, very close. These guys mirror and match up so well. He last fought in June, so it's been nearly a year off, about 10 months for him. American top team. Got a close split over Alex Martinez. Lost to Marcin Held his last time out, but wins over, guys like Ramsey Nijem, Akhmed Aliyev, both by finish, and then Loic Radzbanov back in one of his PFL runs, a win over Jesse Ronson, who is, just not at all a slouch at all. Rashid Magomedov. So just overall a good level of competition for Natan Shult. But I really like Obenmercier. I like how he's looked coming back here. He seems very focused. I don't think Oben's going to be fighting for a ton longer, so I do think he's focused coming into this one and will have pretty much the same reach. I've got to go with Obenmercier here, though. I like his top control. I think stand-up wise it's going to be close. Could be where a lot of this fight is taking place. I see it going to a decision. I see it being close. Either side I can get. But I am going to go with Olivier Mercier in this spot here. I don't know why I keep mixing up his name here. Minus 140, minus 130 I'm seeing at spots. Plus 110 on the underdog in Natan Shult. I think this is priced just about right. I do think Mercier is just a little bit better everywhere and has faced a really, really high level of competition that seems to be helping him here in his PFL run. So give me the slight favorite in Mercier over Natan Shult here. Should be a really good one. On to the next fight here, a guy who we've talked about quite a few times already tonight, but it is Shoeface. Antonio Carlos Jr. Here taking on, and this is at obviously 205 here, taking on the newcomer Delan Amante here, 8-1 Brazilian fighter, 29 years old, out of Evolucion Thai MMA, 28 years old, 6 foot tall. Was able to find some fights on Delan. Unfortunately, one of the things I was fearing I'd see in some fights is that he does get taken down. So yes, he gets up, but he's getting up against much different levels of competition. Natalicio Filo in his last fight, 14-4 fighter, took him down repeatedly, was looking pretty good. He did sneak in an armbar in the third round. That was in August of 2021. Got a heel hook on Danilo Souza, who was 5-22. It's just not going to happen. He got put away by rear naked choke against Carlos Eduardo at 3-1 back in 2018. 0-3 fighter on his record, 3-2, 4-6. Faced a pretty low level of competition. He's got good strikes. Jiu-jitsu is okay, but against a guy like Shoeface, obviously he's not going to be looking to test that aspect of the game. But yeah, I just think this is Shoeface's fight to lose. Shoeface really looked good in his first go-around with the PFL, 3 straight wins for the ATT product here. And had no contest with Vinny Magalhaes. It was a groin strike, but he's going to beat Vinny Magalhaes. Guillotine choke of Tom Lawler, who's now retired. Dominating decision win of Sorti, and then put away Martin Hamlet with a rear naked choke in round 1. I like that Shoeface is finally using his Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. And I think that he'll test the stand-up here, but stand-up is honestly the only spot that is really dangerous here for Shoeface against Delan Monte. So I think that Shoeface gets the back, trip takedown, arm triangle, or rear naked choke finish somewhere inside the first 2 rounds, I would think, against Monte. Monte, again, put away by Carlos Eduardo. Levels to this. Shoeface, one is the biggest favorite on the card, unplayable. Nearly at minus 600, but I'd still add him on to most parlays. But Delan Monte, puncher's chance, plus 450. I just think this is Shoeface's fight to lose. Shoeface has not been looking uncomfortable at all in the PFL, and I think he keeps it rolling here, baby. So let's keep it rolling as well. We are obviously going through these fights a little bit quicker. It's a one-way conversation. I don't have anybody to talk to, obviously. So that's why these fights are a little less in depth, but getting the information and getting the picks, and I do have obviously put in the work here. Lots of tape as always. So next fight here is our co-main event. It's at 155. It's a fight that I've been looking forward to since it was announced. In a fight between Raush Manfield, who did win the PFL 155 title here last year. even though I think at least 2 of those fights were debatable at best, that he got the edge on. But he's got the magic winning these decisions even when he's not winning, like against Clay Collard. Many saying he has Hausch for sure here. Interesting. Taking on Don Madge, guy who could have had a really good run in the UFC, but visa issues and other issues definitely held him back here. South African Magic Man and Don Madge, 10-3, 7 straight wins for him. Fight Fit Militia, I think he's traveling around for this camp as well. 6 foot 72-inch reach for the lightweight here. Coming off a win against Nathan Williams by rear naked choke in his debut with PFL last year. That was coming off of about a 2-year layoff for him and no ring rust at all. Wins over Faraz Ziem, Tay Edwards in the UFC. Tay Edwards knocked him out. Faraz Ziem used the grappling. Really like Madge's, overall striking, but just the well-roundedness of Madge. And dogs. I mean, dogs scare you on a screen. Then I don't know. Sorry, Glove Touch. Hopefully you can recover. Part of the Aaron the Dog show here, but Don Madge. Lots of issues here we could see. Mustaev withdrew. Gumar withdrew, and then Madge had visa issues, and then Gumar had an injury against. Just overall, couldn't get it going. Ended up getting released from the UFC. I think that's going to end up being a mistake for the UFC. I think this guy is highly entertaining, very well-rounded, and just a really good fighter overall. I agree. I think this is a really good fight, Lewis. Hausch Manfield, 15-3. He's got the great story, former janitor who was able to, win $1 million in the PFL and now is able to full-time train. 30 years old, out of Team Nogueira in Brazil, 15-3, 4 straight wins after a very successful 2021. Had 2 splits over Lederbach and Pettis, and then unanimous over Clay Collard, which I thought Clay Collard won that fight. So start out with 3 really close decisions, and then shocked the world one more time against Loic Radzabanov, just beating Radzabanov to punch, pushing the pace, good volume and everything like that. I'll be honest. I saw this fight announced, and I've been on Don Madge, and I'm gonna stay doubting the Hausch Manfield here. I just think that Manfield is one of the luckiest fighters in PFL, and maybe that pays off again here. Seems to really have magic with the judges, but I can't pick that based on what I've seen. Based on what I've seen, the Loic Radzabanov fight, by far the best Manfield look, really does seem to be getting a good rhythm, and now is able to train full-time with that $1 million. But Don Madge is the real deal. I think that visa issues have kept Don Madge from becoming a household name. Similar to how I felt against Brandon Lanahan last year, especially when he started facing guys like Shaman Marias at the beginning and whatnot, where he was the underdog. I think Dan's going to have a run this year in PFL, and it starts here as an underdog. I got Dan as a plus 120 when the line opened. It's now down to an even plus 100 underdog for Don Madge, but I like this underdog a lot. He's my favorite underdog on the card. Taking on Hausch Manfield. Hausch Manfield, a very good fighter, very good everywhere, and going to be underestimated because of those close decisions. Minus 130 for him, but I really like Don Madge in the spot here. And I just like his ability to mix it up. I think he's better in the stand-up particularly, though, but it might be just whoever's a little more aggressive with regards to the takedowns and who gets the top control, who wins this one. It's going to be a close one, and PFL and Bellator judges are PFL and Bellator judges here. Manfield on the positive end of a lot of close or suspect decisions here. So buyer beware with the Manfield fight. I've been burned here, and maybe I get burned here again, but give me the underdog. And Don Madge, I really, really like this guy, and I like this fight a lot. So should be a good one. Great co-main event. On to the main event. We're ending with 2 lightweight fights here. Jeremy Stephens making his PFL debut here, and then making it, I think, couldn't make it better matchup to start out here. This is all action here. Clay Collard, 20-9 versus 28-19. Collard only 29 years old still. Jeremy Lil Heathen Stephens now at the age of 35 years old still. Obviously, coming off of that issue with Drakkar Klose. He's also coming off of 5 straight losses with the UFC. Now, those losses are to very high levels of opponents. Gamrot in his last fight, although Gamrot just took him down and submitted him in a minute. But obviously, Clay Collard not going to do that. Body punch loss to Jose Aldo. Decision loss to Zabit Magomed Sharapirov. And everything like that. And just, overall, just Yair Rodriguez beat him up all day long. Calvin Kattar beat him up before landing a perfect elbow, but that was a competitive fight before that ended. And then the Kimura of Gamrot here. So he's been on better days here. Stevens' last win was with that illegal knee against Josh Emmett. And I will say it was an illegal knee that he landed on Josh Emmett, but put him away. The Do Ho Choi fight, good finish there. Gilbert Melendez. So, he loses to the top here. This is going to be all action. I think it's going to be on the feet the whole time for the most part. And it's just, I think the real key here is who spends the majority of their time with their back to the cage. If Clay Collard gets pressured too much and Stevens is the one stepping forward and putting the pressure on, Stevens is going to put him away, I think, at some point in this fight. If Clay Collard can be the one pushing the pace with the volume and with the cage pressure, I think Clay Collard is able to take this one. Clay Collard has not fought since that Manfield fight, was super frustrated with that one. Had a close fight with Jolton Lutterbach as well. If the Clay Collard who showed up against Pesta shows up, that would be good, but that's part of the issue here is Clay Collard, if he's not allowed by his opponent to push the pace, I think often takes the back foot, starts to be pushed by his opponents and pressed. And I think Jeremy Stevens is going to press the pace a lot here. I think he is going to be one on his front foot. It's the one who's going to be putting the pressure forward. I give Jeremy Stevens the power advantage in this fight. And so Clay Collard's going to have to be using the movement, really using his boxing technique here. And I think if he does that, there's a clear route to a decision victory for him. I feel that Stevens comes into this fight and pushes the pace. And I do think that he can put away Cassius Clay Collard in this spot here. Should be a very good fight. I think it takes place mostly on the feet. I'm going to take Jeremy Stevens by KO in this spot to make to break the 5-fight losing streak against very, very high levels of competition. Clay Collard by far the lowest level he's faced in his last 6 and beyond that. And just I'm not super sold on Clay Collard. So I do think that Clay Collard has a route to victory here. But I like Jeremy Stevens in this spot by KO. -115, -105 on Clay Collard. So the line really seeing this as a very, very close fight as well. But give me Clay, or give me Jeremy Stevens. I love this start to the week. This card, hopefully you mean in a good way, Bunny. It's pretty dope. Pretty dope card for 420 here. It's on a Wednesday starting at 5:30 p.m. Main card at 9 p.m. I love it. We got PFL. We've got an LFA on Friday. We've got a Bellator on Friday. LFA breakdown coming on Wednesday before the UFC breakdown with Lucky Locks. And then, 2 Bellator fights this weekend. UFC fight Wednesday, PFL. I'd love to see the PFL on Wednesday and Thursday. Real quick, I'll go through all my quick picks here. And then we're going to call it a day here for the breakdown. But appreciate everybody joining me. We're killing it on the channel right now. Over 430 subs now. Really appreciate it. The views have been going great. Over 1,000 on last week's Bellator breakdown with my boy Lewis. Just overall, I really appreciate the support. Love seeing new names like Trevor Stewart and others. If you've been here before, Trevor, I apologize for missing you. The glove touch. Spring break. I remember that. But quick picks here. Starting from the bottom, getting to the top as we go. Simone Powell, I like over Clinton Williams here. I like him by decision. Rob Wilkinson, I like to use his length and power here over Bruce Sauto. Get the decision win, close one there. Omari Akhmedov wins this one. I think he banks 2 rounds, and the 3rd round might get dicey. So definitely hold your breath, but I like Omari here. to use. Hopefully, he gets it done the first. Martin Hamlet here. I like to use his wrestling against Theodorus, but Theodorus, a guy I'm excited to see return here. Really fun fighter. Stevie Ray, my first dog of the night. Close decision over Alex Martinez. Both these guys close. I like the experience edge for Stevie here. Corey Hendricks, Emmanuel, Sorti. I'm Emmanuel, Sorti. I'm going to go with Emmanuel ever so slightly here to eke this one out. But it's a close one. And don't blame me if you're taking a shot on Corey Hendricks. I like Olivier Obenmercier to get the decision win in a close one over Natan Schultz. I like Antonio Carlos Jr. to take down Delon Monte, get that rear naked choke or arm triangle finish. Don Madge, my favorite dog of the night here in a very close competitive fight with Rausch Manfield. I just like Don Madge. And then close main event, Jeremy Stevens wins a striker's delight with Clay Collard to take that one. So that will do it for the PFL 2022 number one. PFL regular season back. We will be working on figuring out who the PFL co and the analyst will be for the year. But we'll figure it out as we go. One thing I can guarantee is we will not miss a PFL here. Appreciate you, Trevor. Appreciate you, Bunny. As always, moderator Bunny, and much more. Yeah, it was a fun breakdown here. I'm going to get these timestamps up as well. But until tomorrow, we got the double MMA Bellator breakdown show. We're covering both Bellator Hawaii cards with Lewis of Northern MMA back to back, and then UFC and LFA on Wednesday. Fury breakdown, I'll say on Thursday, hopefully. So for Aaron the Dog and only Aaron the Dog, thanks for checking out Aaron the Dog MMA. Keep taking care of each other out there, and go follow MMA Ideas on Instagram right now. Peace out, everybody.